If you're having paranormal issues, contact us at mwghosthunters.com. From the files of the Midwest Ghost Hunters.
All right, Midwest Ghost Hunters site investigation, recorder 1.
Oh, Dustin, right there. Something just moved behind you.
Yes, it did. What the was that?
What happened?
Something touched my ear, man.
What's that?
This is Dark Matter with Midwest Ghost Hunters.
Thanks for downloading another podcast. We're within range now, within the weeks of the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters. And the only reason I bring that up is because I had never seen Frozen Empire. I've read all the reviews about how terrible it was. But I didn't. I thought it was good. Am I the only one who's seen it?
I haven't even seen a trailer for it.
Well, it came out in April.
I have not seen it.
I streamed it. I bought it and streamed it last night. I was expecting it to be terrible, but I thought it was pretty good. I mean, what the hell do you expect whenever you watch a Ghostbusters movie? Of course, it's going to be absurd, but I mean, that's the whole point of it. Anyway, I thought it was good. I would recommend it. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, if you're just a paranormal fan, you may not like it, but if you're an actual Ghostbusters fan, I thought it was
those are two different things. You know?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think that's what a lot of these reviews were coming from people who were expecting like some big paranormal, groundbreaking. It's like, hell, it's Ghostbusters. You go to Jurassic Park, you're going to see fucking dinosaurs too.
That's just the way it is.
So anyway, I thought it was good. Now, another question I was going to mention to you guys before we get into it is someone asked, it's so weird that they asked, and I couldn't remember the name of it. They asked, what is any good paranormal games? And I could not for the life of me remember the name of that game. Remember, you brought your laptop up when I saw you last weekend, and we were going to play it, and then we never did.
Phasmophobia.
Yep.
What is it?
Phasmophobia.
Okay.
Well, now, when you say paranormal games,
I don't even know what that means. These guys know. They were going to have me play it. Because the last games that I really played were Mario Kart and Baseball Stars with you.
Well, yeah, but it just depends. It's so hard to answer that paranormal stuff because it depends. Are you talking about like fans of the real paranormals, like people who would do the ghost tours here at Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri, or are you talking about people that are just wanting to poke fun and stuff, or what?
This particular game simulates a real paranormal investigation.
It spawned a whole genre of games that do a similar thing too.
You go to a setting
like jump scares.
Not really,
but there can be sometimes. I mean, sometimes we get jump scared when we're out at a place.
Yeah.
Loud noise or something freaks us out.
I didn't know if it was like a Five Nights at Freddy's.
No.
And I think this is the third week in a row we mentioned that damn game.
It's more grounded in
Five Nights at Freddy's.
There are times when you go on one of them and not a lot happens.
Oh, okay. So that's realistic then.
And then there are times when all hell breaks loose.
Phasmophobia? Is that right?
Yeah, it literally just means fear of ghosts.
So this thing is basically designed to replicate a paranormal investigation.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I was surprised at whenever I played that game before I went on any investigations, and I was surprised at how accurate some of the gear was, because seeing it in real life was kind of different.
That's what he said. He said,
you mentioned, what do they take, like EMF detectors and everything?
EMFs,
flashlights,
UV lights.
You choose what to bring, and
then that would be kind of like the real deal, because I mean, you can do a paranormal investigation anywhere and not find out anything, and then another one is just active the whole way through. So, I mean, that's...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, okay, we can get back on track now. So whoever was asking about the games, and I didn't have the email pulled up, there's the one. I knew there was one you guys recommended. I couldn't remember what it was. And according to Hunter, I guess there's a whole genre of these things. It's Phasmophobia. We are here at Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri, where we podcast from every week. One of the most well-known and probably most active paranormal locations in the state of Missouri. And if you hear some stuff along the way, we do quite frequently.
Last time, I thought we heard a lot of things.
Yes.
We did.
Yeah, and we've got a ton of stuff.
John's pulled all those out, and we've got those. I figured we'd hit those eventually, but I figured first we would focus, since you took time out, Kim, to be here, I figured we'd focus on Kim first. If you
let's talk to Tim.
Set up her...
Chris and I have known Kim for many, many years, and I was in a conversation with Kim, and it's not uncommon to have people you've known for years and years that don't share a lot of paranormal stories for obvious reasons, because, if you've not experienced a lot of the paranormal stuff yourself, you may think that people are going to think you're crazy. So Kim started telling me some of the stories, the things that has happened to her. And I said, you know what? This is fantastic, Kim, but I want you to tell these same stories to us on our podcast.
So tell us what's going on. We've known you for so long and like John said, had no idea.
Oh, this was crazy. And let me just start this off to let you know that you're right. I haven't talked about this story in many, many years. I was kind of hoping it would just kind of go away, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, maybe I should accept it. But one thing I do know is that I am sensitive to supernatural presences. I am. And when I tell you these stories,
okay,
I think you will agree. So sometimes I felt safer just not talking about it.
Well, yeah, you got to pick your audience pretty carefully when you're talking about this stuff.
Yeah, well, that too. But,
because,
I'll go into an antique store. I remember in radio, I wrote an ad once and I said, go buy dead people stuff at an antique store. It was so funny. Well, I think about that now and I'm like, I don't want to bring dead people. I don't want to bring them home.
Well, that's true. I'm very careful. I used to shop on eBay a lot, but now it's like I watch these shows about these there's a show called Haunted Items. Mm-hmm. It's like, hell, I don't want to bring, somebody's.
See, I've never even thought twice about that kind of thing.
I have. Yeah. It's crossed my mind before. So your point's taken there. Yeah. So tell us what's happened with you.
Back in 2002,
okay,
I was pregnant. I was pregnant with my son, and I was probably about 4 or 5 months pregnant, and we decided we were going to move into a different house. So me and my husband at the time, and my daughter, and my mom, and a real estate agent, all went to look at a house in North Springfield, not far from Doling Park. We get there, and everybody starts running to a different room, to look, as we're looking at this house that we might buy.
You're excited. It's a new place.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't want to walk up the stairs. I'm pregnant, and whatever. I didn't. So I went down this little hall into this bedroom first. And when I opened up the closet door, and there was a mirror, like on the closet door, like somebody had before. And when I looked in the mirror, I had blood all down my white pants. I began hemorrhaging for no reason, none. We panicked, got me to the emergency room immediately, thinking I'm losing my baby. They kept taking test after test after test. There was nothing. There was no reason. And I was sent home.
You had really hemorrhaged. This wasn't.
That was my question.
I mean, I looked in that mirror and I had blood all the way down. Now, no one else saw the blood on me as we all got into the house. It happened right there.
But it was actually there. That's your question too,
right? It didn't happen until I got in that bedroom and I opened that door.
We were angling whether it was just a visual you had or if it actually was there.
No, it was very, very real. And like I said, I went to the emergency room. My doctor showed up. I was there all day. Nothing. They couldn't figure out anything. Everything was perfectly fine. So, we had called some family about what happened. Well, one of our family members said, which house was it? Oh, a friend of mine is looking at that house to buy. And I go, I ain't freaking buying it. That's bad. I mean, I didn't even think about ghosts at this time. I'm just thinking that was the Lord's way of telling me, don't buy this house.
Cursed.
We go on with life a little bit. And
you did not buy that house?
No, we did not buy that house. But my sister-in-law's friends did.
Okay.
So that got me back in the house. John and I are at the radio station. Back when I was on Battlefield. And we had this group come in called the James River Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
Do you remember them?
Yeah, I remember those
He looked
guys.
like Hulk Hogan.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know.
They came in and
he looked like Hulk Hogan, and she looked like Beth from the what's the
I don't
Headhunters or whatever. So anyway, they were fun.
I forgot about them until she just brought that up.
Was it a man or a woman?
Man and woman.
Oh, I know who it was. Okay,
and they had a daughter too. And don't forget this daughter, because something happened to her daughter back at this house.
And they're the people that
the
bought
ghost
this
hunters.
house.
No, the ghost hunters. I'm talking about the ghost hunters. Okay, so now let's talk about the people that bought this house. She had always wanted to have a baby. So they got married and they're ready to have a baby. 2 years, kept trying to have a baby. Couldn't have a baby in this house. Couldn't have a baby in this house. So now they're going to adopt and they're doing foster. One day, in this house, above the room that I hemorrhaged, there was a closed off space. Well, they had to fix a fan. So their dad came over to get up in there and they were trying to follow it, and they had to break in to get over on the other side. And when they opened this wall, it was a completed baby room just left.
What does that
Not-
mean? What is a completed baby? Like a
nursery.
crib?
I mean,
Like
there's a
everything?
crib, there's a
nursery.
blanket,
I mean, toys, like the mobile and everything?
everything, and it was just blocked up.
Well, that's weird.
Okay, I got chills. Oh, I haven't talked about this in a while. So, anyway, they call me and they tell me about this. I'm thinking, John and I are already talking, James. We got to do. I've got to get a little bit. Need to know a little bit more about this. So, got them over to, and they did a study, an investigation. There was some things happen in that investigation. Their 20-year-old daughter, beautiful, long blonde hair, beautiful girl, was there, and there was a spirit, a gentle, whatever we want to call it, a ghost, in his males in his 30s that wouldn't keep his body off of her. He kept wrapping around her, and flirtatious is what they were saying, and they had to make her leave.
Okay, I have never heard of a flirting ghost. Well,
I haven't either.
Actually, I have.
I was going to say, yes, we have.
Yes, okay, never mind. I have. I stand back on
But
that.
I'm like, is like the ghost humping her? What's going on? You know, it's like, I don't know how it works.
I have seen.
So
I've seen. Yeah, we've seen. Never mind. Yeah, we
okay,
have.
good times. So anyway, so she left, and they stayed out. You know, they stayed overnight with cameras on, video on. I don't really think they caught anything, but what we got from it was we had the witching sticks.
I don't know what a witching stick is. That a dowsing rod?
Okay, it's like this.
That's a dowsing rod.
Okay.
Is that a dowsing rod?
Yeah.
Okay, I call it
Okay,
witching
yeah.
stick because I felt like I was getting witched. So I would stand in that room holding that. They kept wanting me to do that. I couldn't control that. That thing was like kind of like the hemorrhaging thing. It did not want me in that freaking room. So I'd go in the hallway and it was just a little bit worse, but then I'd take it in there and it would throw me. And so I'm like, I'm not going back in there. That was that. They brought us, and you guys, you're going to know more about this than me, a genealogy report, a report that says who lived in that house and who died and who did this. The original owner of that house was Doling Park, whoever that is, that guy. Maybe Mr. Doling? I don't know.
So the guy who probably gave him the land for Doling Park and stuff like that.
Maybe that was it, but he was very much involved in that. And according to this group, there is an older man, a middle-aged man, and a young girl that live in that room.
How do they?
Underneath
how do
the
they
baby
age
room.
them? I'm just kind of curious.
I don't know.
And
That's my question.
That's because I'm wondering how that. Because what we've run into is we would find something, and based on a voice or based on the fact that it was a little kid's voice, we would say it's a little kid. I'm curious how that they said, okay, this spirit is of this age.
Now, was this group one of those that are like do the psychic stuff too?
I don't remember.
I think because that's my question too. Did they hear an old voice, or I wonder? And you may not know the answer to this. We're just kind of kicking the can around here. Or I wonder if they have like the psychic angle.
Right. Yeah. And there's other groups that do that. The way that we would normally do something like this is we're going to look for audio. We're going to look for video.
How we're going to age?
Yeah.
Like if we hear
right.
a little kid like we did in Mount Vernon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In situations
Or an
like
old
that.
man like we hear here at Pythian Castle.
Right. That's how we'll do it. I was just curious to see if they had.
I don't know. They never told me.
But the room you're talking about is the baby room that was closed off?
Yeah,
Okay.
upstairs was the baby room, and it's completely closed off. Underneath it is the room that I walked into, opened the door, and saw that I was bleeding, and that's where the three stay.
We got you sidetracked. Sorry.
Well,
That's okay.
and what would cause if people are listening now saying, well, there would be never a situation where that if something happened and a couple had lost a child, I could completely see that to where they would just seal off the room and it's done, and that would be what would cause something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Or how old is that house? I mean, the only reason I ask is because at one point, it was mainly up in the Northeast whenever they thought a baby had been inhabited by a demon. Actually, the house that Edwin Becker moved into, this was the same thing. They had closed off an entire room for this reason.
Well, that could be. I mean, that could be as well.
We're speculating. We have no idea.
There's all kinds of things like that would cause that. So
I think I was very impressed with the levels of investigation that they did, like having the lady go back and look at the historian of who lived here when they died. We did not connect anything to a baby that died, though. There was nothing in the records. So was it just unknown? Or
it could be.
did they just, the person buy it and it was left there and they just built it up? And who cares?
How old was the house?
Oh, it was easily built in the early 1900s. If they did.
Was there any other activity? You said you knew the people that owned the house. Was there activity that happened there after in the duration they were there? Did they experience anything?
Okay, so I think they were a little ticked off at me for moving forward with trying to figure out what happened in this house that I was just looking. So they just, after that was over, they were just like, we're just never going to talk about it again. We're just not going to talk about it again. And I'm okay. I'm like, fine.
And these are the people that are living.
Yeah, and they've moved just recently, but yeah, that house has some stuff.
Did they do any investigation of the amount of EMF in the house?
I don't know what EMF is, so if they did, they didn't tell me.
EMF is
electromagnetic frequencies.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm asking about that is because we have had a lot of investigations over the years where people would see things, where people would believe things that happen. Now, these are not people that make stuff up, but a high level of EMF in an area can cause hallucinations. It could make you feel that something was wrapping around you. It can do these kinds of things. And that's one of the things that we always like to try to do. And what would cause it is if you've got a bad fuse box, if the wiring in the house is very, very old, and that's a lot of the reason why that the older houses are the haunted houses, because it emits that EMF into the air.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of curious if they had done that.
I don't know. You know what? Then I didn't know anything about that stuff. It was more of just learning as I was going along with the who was doing what made this happen.
Sure.
So let me add one little thing. When we went in to do the paranormal, the investigation, I just quickly took a picture of the room that this happened to me in, and there was a standing mirror, like a round mirror there. Well, I took a picture, whatever. I have a relative in Baltimore, Maryland that dabbles in this. That's all I thought, dabble. I sent her a bunch of the pictures and a bunch of things, and if I wish I had even thought of this before I would have tried to find it. She goes, some people would do this and fake it. I didn't fake this. I want you to look. And in that round mirror at the very top was a baby's face.
Oh.
You could not get closer. And she goes, if I was anybody else, don't believe that that's real. But I did not fake that. That is what I saw. So I don't know.
It reminds me of have you guys seen the new video that's been, it was on Paranormal Caught on Camera too, of the lady with the apartment, or I'm sorry, the mirror in her, I can't remember if it's a home or apartment, that shows shit in the mirror that's not actually behind her. She'll show the mirror and then she'll flip around and there's something in the mirror that's not actually behind her. This is a video that's gone viral in the past few days.
I have not.
There's when you look in the mirror, there's like an old lamp or something. And then when she turns the camera around, there is no lamp. And she says it's something different every day.
Kim, had you had experiences prior to going into this house? Or was this your first paranormal experience in there? That
was my first paranormal in there. I had a very real one many years before that my oldest daughter is now 33. And Stephanie, as an adult, is very, all the voyance or the cognitive. So she's clairvoyance, clairsential, which is feeling visual, and clear knowing. And I take a little bit of credit for that because it was the day before she started kindergarten at Bowerman Elementary. Across the street, one over, as my mom would say, cattywampus from our house.
Okay.
There was a 2-story house, and High Street's a busy street. Kids don't get out and play. They don't know each other over there, Mm-hmm. So there was a fire at that house, and the little girl upstairs was passed. So it was a very sad day, but my little pre-kindergartner knew nothing of that part. I did not tell her anything about the little girl. There wasn't nothing going on. She didn't need to know that.
Right. And
so that was that. So, of course, the day went by. It was like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and things are finally getting cleared up because that had happened in the middle of the night, 7 times past. And my daughter Stephanie's sitting out on my front porch on the porch swing. And I also have a little crazy Chihuahua dog that's going to bark at anything.
Uh-huh.
The dog wasn't barking, but I could hear Stephanie just talking and carrying on. And I thought, it must be like a neighbor or something, somebody she knows. And I come out and I go, who are you talking to? She goes, that little girl running down the street, that little white dress, so pretty. There was no girl. No girl.
Did she see her more than that one time?
That was the only time, but I was like, I want to keep this memory alive. I do not want to go, you didn't see anything.
Right. Yeah.
You didn't. And so I worked at a credit union at that time, and one of the customers come in, did Reiki and different things, and I told him about what happened. He goes, I want to bring her in. I want her to look at these colors. I cannot remember the colors she saw. I wish I could. She's asked me a million times. I don't know. But they were colors we were not seeing.
Like auras? Is that what it...
Oh, yeah, okay. There was like this aura book, and you look at the colors, and what colors you see tells things. And she was seeing colors that was just so that she has these tendencies. And then she's grown with them over the years.
Okay. And what about some of her other experiences? Has she, because this isn't her only experience.
Oh no, she when she got married in the Pythian Castle.
Yeah, the thing is, Pythian Castle isn't just a place for ghost tours and stuff. They do,
right.
They do other things.
Right. I mean,
the most beautiful weddings ever.
They do. They do. They got weddings. They got proms. All kinds of events are held here at the castle. I mean, we talk about it for ghost purposes, and they do ghost tours here as well. Yeah. But they do a lot of other events here.
Yeah, or if you're just interested in like the history type stuff, they do that too. But anyway, like you said, they do weddings.
They do weddings, and so I'm a little geek when it comes to things like, oh, do you feel anything in here? Do you feel anything in here? She goes, Mom, stop. She goes, I had to turn it off. Yeah, I'm too busy, and I'm staying too busy. I go, okay, we'll talk about it another time. So anyway, I've asked her after. She goes, nothing. There was nothing. She says, I wasn't. I wasn't
in that mode.
I wasn't looking for.
Right.
I was. If I had a feeling, I wouldn't have even paid attention to it. Or if I thought I saw something, I wouldn't. And
by the way, I think that adds to people's credibility, because you can do the ghost tours. You could do a ghost tour here at the castle and not have anything happen. You could do a ghost tour the next weekend and all sorts of stuff happen. So I think that's very, very true.
Well, Stephanie did tell me that she's been here several times doing things. She loves this place, and she's done the ghost hunting, and I said, well, did you ever feel anything? Did you ever see anything? Blah, blah. And she said in the ballroom, she felt that it was very much a place of gathering celebration. That's where people would go, but she didn't see anything physical or visible. So, but she did feel that was a place of celebration that was happening.
I was just reading while you were talking there about James Doling. His marker, his grave marker, his monument is right over there by that house you were talking about.
I don't know who lives there now, but let's go knock on their door.
I was going to say, we may need to get that address, scratch that address down.
Go in and check this place out.
I'm telling you guys.
Did they leave did they board the nursery area back up? The people?
Yeah, they just boarded it right back up.
So it's still, like, as we sit here right now, it's more than likely still
a baby room.
That's weird. Because we did an investigation one time where we got up into the attic. It was Tyler who got up in there. And the attic, had the insulation, the spray insulation all over. But then within that insulation, someone had sprinkled flowers. Remember that?
Flower petals. Red
over it.
petals.
Yeah, all over it. It was the weirdest thing.
You would have had to have crawled in there to have done that.
I never understood that. I don't know. But I'm just saying that was freaky enough. I can imagine knocking a wall down and finding an entire nursery still intact.
Yeah, there's two reasons why you would do that, right?
John
said one where it's out of like grief and sadness, and then the other one is something terrifying,
right?
That you really want.
That's the only two I can come up with as well.
But if it was something that terrifying, I would leave the whole house. I wouldn't just put a board up there.
I wouldn't mess with drywalling.
Right.
Well, and on the flip side, though, if it's grieving, it seems weird to just close it up. Everybody's different. I have no idea. We're speculating on what the cause of that.
That would be jarring, though. Like if you're doing renovations, you knock down a wall and there's a fully furnished baby room.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, they were needing to fix a ceiling fan that was right beside that, upstairs. Well, they couldn't get to the electrical because the house wasn't built that way. You know what I mean? So they had to get into the other side, and that's when they, ended up busting that wall down and saw that. It was just...
That's amazing.
Insane.
I would like to get the address of that place.
Well, she'll have it.
I know what's on the corner of.
At least pull it up, on Google Earth, because I'm reading all this stuff about James Doling now and about his family and, who lived and died where.
I'm sorry, what? I might have gotten a little lost.
Well, this house is over by Doling Park.
Oh, okay.
And the property the home sits on was more than likely, or was it owned by the Doling family? I don't know.
It had the Doling family name in it when she was going through the.
So I was just reading the Doling, James Doling owned that whole area over there. He bought it because he liked the way it looked. I was just reading. He liked the grassy, mature tree, look of it. So he bought the whole thing. So more than likely he built that house and lived in it near the park. I'm guessing. Maybe that's not true.
I think he still lives there in that room.
He died in let's see, I had that pulled up here a minute ago. He died in 1911.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he died in 1911 when he was 84 years old. So if he lived there, that house is pretty old.
Well, and it could just be, too, that the family owned, it doesn't necessarily mean that he owned it.
Right, yeah, that's right. So what is your most recent paranormal encounter that you've had, or if they tapered off? Because I know in the beginning you said I'm kind of trying. I've tried over the years to not talk about it, hoping it would go away.
Yes, at that time it was really scary. Time goes by, and now it's a fun story.
Yeah.
I'm older and more mature. You're right. I haven't talked about it for many years. There's even been times I'm like, oh, that could even be against my religion. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't talk about ghosts. You know what I'm saying? But I'm open for it. I'm open to get back out there a little bit if that was it. Telling the story again, it made it easier, and it's like, why? It's not as scary now talking about it as it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, put a little distance between you. It gets a little easier.
It sure does.
We know that to be true.
Yeah,
it does. But also, if you're pregnant,
both in time and
distance. Yes.
If you're pregnant and you start hemorrhaging, it's a very scary, very scary thing to have happen. So,
and that's the exact. I mean, and it was in that same room. And like I said, when I had the whatever we call the sticks, it just almost knocked me out of the room when I had those in my hand.
I've never used those.
And then down the hallway. It didn't do that to me the rest of the house.
Wow.
Never used those, but it's a place that we would be interested in.
Yeah, I think I'd kind of like to check this place out.
We'd definitely send Tyler right into that nursery.
Oh, I'd hit that baby room.
I would like to check that out, because I also would really like to get EMF readings in this place, because I think a lot of this could be due to high EMF. I mean, there could be a number of real reasons, and I know that fans of the paranormal don't like that, but there could be legitimate scientific things that would cause some of these things. I mean, I don't know. Could EMF cause hemorrhaging? I don't know enough about it. Could that do that?
As far as that goes, I don't know. So, some people are EMF sensitive, and that causes them to have visual and auditory hallucinations, and even sensations on the skin, rashes. That sounds a little extreme to be
I'm not
an
making
EMF
that up.
reaction.
No, I'm not thinking. I'm not thinking.
swear.
And by the way, none of this is made up.
Oh yeah, no. I don't. It just
up.
sounds so crazy though. But there was no reason, and it also, if that hadn't happened, it wouldn't have led me to know all the other things.
And what John's talking about here with this EMF stuff isn't made up. It's actual physical, things that happen to people.
We had over by the old radio station. There was a lady who had us come in and do an investigation, because she said that she kept seeing a little girl. Always saw a little girl when she was rocking her baby at night. And what would happen would be that when she was rocking the baby, the little girl would appear in the doorway. We came in, did an investigation of the place. Now, we did find other things there. We found whistling in the house. We saw a big, huge shadow figure. So, I mean, there was legitimate paranormal. But at least on the little girl that showed up, she had a fan that was blowing directly on her head. And the fan was an oscillating fan that she had by her chair.
Right.
It had immense EMF coming off of it. We got her to remove the fan, and then the little girl disappeared.
Oh my!
So
we've had that more than once too. I mean, we had that in Reed Spring that time too. They had built onto their house, and they had put the kid's bedroom where the garage used to be, which is his bed was right under the fuse box.
Yep.
And it was just kind of the same thing there too. But anyway, this more than anything goes to show you can know someone for a long time and not have any idea that they've had any paranormal activity at all until they find out that we do this.
I would never have believed in a million years, and that's whenever I sent it to I sent this stuff to Chris, and he comes back in there and he's like, at first he thought that I was confessing a paranormal thing.
He copied and pasted what you sent him and sent it to me, and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? when did this happen?
I was voice texting, so.
And then I went back through and looked, and at the beginning he leads it off with, "This is a message I received."
It would be very confusing to get a text from John about being pregnant, hemorrhage.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you even spell hemorrhage? John, do you know?
Not well. How do I spell it? Not well.
Not well. That's good.
Anyway, thank you.
I will say real quick,
Yes.
you were surprised that this could happen to somebody.
Well, it goes to show you people have had these things. They don't talk about it.
I was going to say, it's more common than you think.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Because I've had people that just have heard about our podcast that I work with that have come up and been like, man, I had this happen. And this happened.
It happens all the time.
And it's been like 5 or 6 people, and I work in a very small little place. Like, it's not a lot of people there. And the amount of people that had come up to me and been like, hey, yeah, I've had experiences. They just don't talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they never talk about it.
Kim, why did you not talk about it? You just didn't want to share it? Were you uncomfortable? Were you afraid that people would think you're crazy? What did you think?
So there was a little bit of time between stuff because I had, thinking I was having a miscarriage, and so then didn't buy the house. Well, then there's still time several months go by or whatever, and then we get in and we're starting to do those things. And my mama, she doesn't like hearing things. She's just prim and proper, and ghosts don't exist, and this doesn't happen. So I just never really talked about it, and just kind of and just let it go. And then as far as that house over there, those people that live there, they moved away, and so it was just. I kind of went on, and even after this happened, or before, there was like a lot of things that happened in my life. When I was pregnant, the first day back, driving back to the radio station, John, you'll remember this when I say it. It was my first day back, and a bus was stolen. It was a tour bus, and it was full of drugs and 2 people. Anyway, they were all over the road, and then they pushed my car. Well, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to protect my baby here. Anyway, I got out, and there was a high-speed chase with the guy and all that. So just craziness, and it was just more of just taking care of myself right at that point. And I didn't know there was a baby room upstairs. I just thought that I was bled for no reason.
Right.
That's all it was until the other couple bought the house. And then
it does seem like most people don't want to talk about it, at least in our experience, because they're afraid. Number one, people will think they're crazy. But
yes.
Number two, another thing, and you kind of touched on this earlier, a lot of people don't talk about it because they think it may invalidate the religion that they follow, or it may not follow directly in what they thought they've learned.
Yep.
But anyway, that is, that just the visual of a baby room on the other side of a wall is something I almost want to go see.
Upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something if you get, you can send John the address.
You guys do the investigation on that
in their
part?
mailbox. I'm
trying to figure out how we're going to work that into a conversation.
Got ghosts in your.
Excuse us, we're the Midwest Ghost Hunters. We did a podcast, and we think that you've got a secret baby room that we need to investigate.
Well, we could just say we're going door to door, seeing if anybody has a walled-in nursery.
Maybe don't lead.
And if you do, you're the winner, and we'll give you something. Yeah. We just need to wrap a cool van to make it look, with our logo.
Maybe just don't lead with the baby room thing.
Either that or
you have to work up to that.
Tell them we're the cable company.
There you go.
I'll be getting the axe out of the back of the
van. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you for coming in and telling your story. And
that was fun.
If anything else, happens, be sure to let John know, and we'll get you back in here, and we'll do it again.
If you do have any paranormal stories that you'd like to share with us, what's the best way to get a hold of us?
You can email us, contact@mwghosthunters.com. And it doesn't matter where you are. Kim's here with us, but you could, we've done these over the phone. Actually, that reminds me, we have a podcast listener who messaged a day or two ago. They were boarding an airplane to go to London to do the Jack the Ripper ghost tour, and she wants to call in when she gets back next week.
Oh, that would be great.
And then kind of tell us about how that went. So we'll hear a little bit about that too. But anyway, thank you for coming in, Kim.
Thanks for having
me. It. Good to see you again.
Good to see you guys.
If you've got a story you want to share with us, you could just email us, contact@mwghosthunters.com.
And we'll be back next week with more dark matter from Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri with Midwest Ghost Hunters.